or evidence, nor does anybody here, by the looks of it, have any proof of an existing God today, 2017, standing here as we're here. There is no God. Give me, my answer to your question is, I do not believe it is there. It has had no interaction with me whatsoever, okay? I'm living a normal life with a cognitive response as a human being. I came down the birth canal with no religion, and I came down the birth canal not knowing anything. I think when I die, you go back to that state when you're there. There is no God. Can you bring God to me now, then? Can you bring God? No.
How do you define evidence?
How do you define evidence? Well, how would you define evidence? I'll put it on you. Because you're the believer, I'm not. Show me what's the God then.
You ask me what evidence is.
You're the believer.
So I'm a Bayesian, so I would define evidence as follows. I would say evidence E is evidence for your hypothesis H if and only if the probability E is greater given H than given non-E. So given enough, for example, in the forensic setting, the presence of the accused fingerprints on the murder weapon would be evidence for the guilt hypothesis over the non-guilt hypothesis because it's far more probable given the guilt hypothesis than the non-guilt hypothesis. Are we agreed? So that's what evidence is.
But where's the evidence?
Yeah, but belief is not evidence, is it?
I don't need your prognosis. I want to know where the God is today. Where's the God now?
Okay.
Can you get God to me now?
Are you going to let me speak?
Well, you can't, can you? So where's God?
So I think there is.
I want God now.
I think there's some evidence that God exists, and it's an inferential science. So when it comes to, for example, what's your view on the cosmic fine-tuning of our universe?
The cosmic fine-tuning of my universe. I'm not a scientist. What I'm saying to you, well, I don't care if you're a scientist or whatever. That's great for you. I'm glad you're a scientist because you're an expert in science. That's great. What I'm saying to you is that we're talking this, and that. What we do not have is evidence that there is a supreme being running the earth as the religion. Now, do you believe in religion or do you believe in God?
I'm a Christian.
Right, so you're a Christian. Okay, so I've got to know what angle we're going on here. So you're a Christian, yeah? So you don't agree everything, for example, to the Muslims believe. Right, okay, fine. So as a Christian, you believe in the word of the good news, the gospel or whatever, according to Christ, yeah? Okay. So if I was to say to you that from my point of view, and you asked me this, my view is that the religions are ideologies created by man, they're written by man. They come from very possibly a rabbi of the time or whatever, very possible, we don't know, because there seems to be some possible historic evidence that may have been a man of that name, whatever. Okay.
Man by what name?
Jesus or whatever you want to call it.
But the evidence for Jesus is overwhelming.
Hang on a minute, right. Now the issue is for me, is I live in a world now where not a single soul can I see has ascended to heaven. I live in a world where we have a real world where men play, interplay.
You should ask him how old is he.
Can I finish?
And he only reached that age. He can't go beyond that.
Can I have a conversation? I haven't finished. Right. And I've listened, and I will listen to you. The issue is for me that we stand here today living in a world with all sorts of tribalism, all sorts of political interplay with each other. We live with some of the greatest creators on earth, the creators of art, creators of stories, fairy tales, made-up stories, and psychological planning that we go through of control of good, bad, evil, discipline, whatever. Heaven and hell, for example, before you ask me. Heaven to me is a very simple man-made concept to give you the goodies if you're good, hell is the bad if you're bad, okay? There are no physical evidences of a heaven and hell. There are no physical evidences for me that this Jesus suddenly ascended to heaven, okay? If Jesus is really buried, as they keep saying, at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, why don't they open the tomb and see if there's something there? Right.
He rose from the dead.
He rose from the dead. That's a great story for me to aggrandise a man's death.
Right.
If you want to aggrandise, hang on, no, yeah, when I have it, I'll tell you. When you aggrandise a person, you know what I mean. What you do is you take Jesus' death, so instead of his death being the body rotted in the grave, to make the story sound so supernatural and amazing, we aggrandise the character. So Jesus doesn't have a normal human death, he ascends to heaven. Okay? There is no evidence that he went up to heaven. There is no evidence outside some books written by man. Hang on a minute. I want to finish these points and then you can come back. Because this is what you people don't let me finish what I'm trying to say. I'm answering the question. Why I believe in The books are there, but I believe they're written by scribes, and they have in them every type of psychological control mechanism you would expect humanity to put to keep you in control in the religion.
Can I speak?
Yes, you may.
And you're going to give me as long as you had?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the resurrection, since that's where you ended, okay? So let's talk about the evidence for the resurrection, shall we? So, I think we can establish with high degree of confidence that the earliest followers of Jesus sincerely believed that Jesus had appeared to them after his death. Now let's look at some of the evidence for that, and then we'll get the best explanation for that. So for example, in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, the Apostle Paul, writing to the Corinthian church, and I quote, he says, "What I received, I pass on to you as of first importance, that Christ Jesus died for our sins in accordance with the Scriptures, that he appeared to Cephas, and then he appeared to the 12, and then he appeared to more than 500 of the brothers. At the same time, most of them are still living, though some have fallen asleep. Then he appeared to James and to all the apostles, and last of all, he appeared to me also, as to one untimely born." Now, most scholars understand that text in 1 Corinthians 15 to be a quotation from an earlier creedal tradition from the earliest church, which he likely received 3 years after his conversion upon his visit to Jerusalem, as recounted in Galatians chapter 1. That is an early source which talks about the appearance to Peter, to James, to the 500, to the 12, and to Paul himself. Now notice also what Paul goes on to say. He says, "For I am the least of the apostles, not even worthy to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God. But by the grace of God I am what I am, and his grace towards me was not in vain. For on the contrary, I worked harder than any of them, though it was not I, but the grace of God that is with me. Whether that it was I or they. So we preach, and so you believe." And so notice that he assumes that the Corinthian Christians understand his proclamation of the resurrection to be following on from the previous proclamation of the other apostles, Peter, James, and 12, and so on. So there's one argument of many I could give, but there's one argument that this is the earliest proclamation of the apostles themselves who believe that Jesus had risen from the dead bodily. Now, what is the best explanation for that fact? Well, I think there's, in terms of explaining how they came to sincerely believe that, well, we know that they were sincere and not lying, because one argument of many I could give on that regard is that the apostles were willing to suffer and die for their belief in the resurrection, which indicates that they were at least sincere, because liars make poor martyrs. Multi-party conspiracies invariably break down when life or liberty are at stake. So we have good sources, for example, for the conversion for the martyrdom of James, the brother of Jesus.
Is it just me who's lost?
In the Antiquities of the Jews, in volume 20, he says that James was willing to die as a martyr. He's a non-Christian first century
Give it
Jewish
another minute, because I'm not quite
also,
sure where you're going.
Elizabeth in the 2nd century also mentions that.
Is he responding to you?
No, he's asking how much would the teach your elder brother was
What he's trying to tell me about all the evidence that there is.
Okay.
This evidence you're giving me is written by scribes. It's in the third party. That's my point.
Well, actually, this
isn't evidence. This is just a book. Evidence. And I will not make myself, because I understand that some books can give evidence of things about. Are you not asking for physical evidence? What I'm saying to you is, we are not just talking about humans that lived here. That I can almost go with. I can go with the fact there might have been apostles, and decide there's apostles here that will leave here today and believe in something. I'm not disputing that. I'm disputing where you started with me by saying, am I an atheist? Where does the God come in? Now, the issue you're telling me is, you can tell me, you can carry on quoting till the sun goes down, until it's illegal for us to be here doing this tonight. And I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. All you're demonstrating to me is even more my belief is right, because you are coming in telling me how this one interacted with that one, this man interacted with this man, this man did this man, that man, that man. What we don't have, as far as I'm concerned, is any provable evidence of that supernatural entity, but you are calling me an atheist for not believing it. The issue for me is very clear. To me, they are human, made-up stories, and what you've just explained has backed it up.
Okay, let's see where we part company on this argument. So, do you affirm with me that the earliest followers of Jesus came to believe that he had risen from the dead? Are we on a?
I could make up a story. I thought somebody was risen from the dead. It's perfectly feasible that I could say say that I went to my father-in-law who died 3 weeks ago. I saw him, and I can make up a story to you today, but I saw him lift from the bed and go up into heaven, if you like. I might have someone who wants to believe that with me.
So there's numerous reasons why I think there's good reason to think that they were sincere in their beliefs, and they were not lying or deceitful. So that reduces their options.
We're relying on these texts from so long ago. How would you know whether this is right or wrong?
Well, we use evidence.
But again,
Going back to evidence.
Can I be honest with you? I get what you're saying. You're being fair because you've answered my question in that respect. What you're missing, and the point I'm coming from, is very clear. You're telling me a human interaction story, which is fine. I'll go with the human interaction story, but the human interaction story is no more than us today starting a faith or a belief in something on the basis we say we saw something, or we had something in my head, or the trees started talking. What I'm saying to you is, you are standing there, coming to me, saying, I'm the atheist, how can you not believe in God? How silly, well, you didn't say how silly the other bloke did. And then you're not proving God at all. What you're proving is exactly my point, that we have a human interaction story.
Well, first of all,
without the supreme being.
Multiplying 2,000.
You're using a very manipulated definition of proof, because we don't base our decisions on mathematical proof and certainty. You only get mathematical proof in deductive logic and pure mathematics. We're talking about what's the best explanation for the evidence available. So when it comes to the resurrection, I think we have good reason to believe that was the earliest proclamation of the earliest disciples of Jesus. We have good reason to think they were sincere. I gave you the argument that they were willing to die as martyrs for that belief.
But we're talking about human interaction, martyrs for belief, men that believe in things. I'm not disputing we have beliefs. I'm disputing about that God doesn't run these beliefs. It's just man.
Are you willing to concede that the fact that Peter and James and others were willing to die as martyrs at least indicates that they were sincere?
There are people in this world today. If you watch the world today, there are people who martyr themselves today in the name of an ideology.
Joan of Arc. Joan of Arc.
It's happening now.
No one will die for something that they know is a lie. So you might be delusional.
What? What?
People have not martyred.
Many have.
People have died in Iraq.
Soldiers do it all the time. Yeah, soldiers do it all the
They
time.
believe it's true.
Exactly.
But are you
In every army.
Do you know it's true or believe it's true?
I believe it's false. In that case.
Do you believe God exists? Do you believe or do you know?
I think I'm sure beyond reasonable.
Okay, hang on. We're talking about belief issue. So your belief, if someone comes to me and talks about a belief issue, we have a different type of conversation. When someone comes and says they know there is definitely a God.
So you know there's not God?
I definitely know there's not a God. For me, I'm saying, no, the question you asked me is, am I an atheist?
Yes.
I'm saying I don't believe in God. That is what an atheist is.
Okay.
I don't believe there is one. And at the moment, there is nothing in this entire world or this history, and believe me, I'm not uneducated in the religions, I'm actually educated in the religions. I can read Hebrew. Hang on, I know about the New Testament, I've had a Judaic-Christian upbringing, I understand it. I've been to some of the top centres of the world where religions are. Jerusalem, I've been to the mosques, I've been to the synagogues of the world, I've been to Rome, to St. Peter's in Rome, I've been to basilicas, I've been to various places, hang on a minute, I've been to various places in the world, I've even been to the Sunni mosques, to the Shia mosques. You'd be amazed, right, as an atheist, what I've been to. What I'm saying to you, whenever I go to these places, I've been to Buddhist temples in Kalatora a few months ago in Sri Lanka. If you want to prove, I've got the picture here. The issue is very, very simple for me. When I come out of these places, I'm less religious than when I went in. The reason is, what I do see are very interesting historic ideologies, I get it, but I don't see anything about that. To me, it fits all the boxes of a human creation.
If you'll notice,
so for me, God's the human
dialogue thus far,
I hope I've
I've
answered your question.
the arguments and evidence and facts. He's just been dismissing them and saying, well, I just don't accept this. Why don't you give an alternative explanation?
I've just given the explanation why they're not God. Where is God today? Why can't he come and talk to me now?
Where is he? Where is he? Can you
Where's
call
God
him?
now? Come on, you believe in God. I'm not the believer. You are. Where's God? How can we sort out a meeting between you, me, and God and his camera?
I believe that God is omnipresent. I believe that he's everywhere.
Well,
he's not material.
Right. Now I'm going to use the logic I've got.
everywhere.
You asked me a question, why do I believe that this doesn't make sense? And I'll give it to you. What the thing for you from a scientist's point of view, which I respect, is you're not really looking at the psychology of man here, are you? The man does need his crutches, does need his reasons why. We're very much a mass group of people that seem to like to, we've got to satisfy ourselves, there's got to be an answer for everything. So the issue for me is where I stand is very, very clear to me. It's not even, I'm living in a world where I've got cognitive response because I've been created from a biological process through my birth. I've arrived down at the birth canal in Welbeck Street over there with no belief or religion, and I've come into my sphere, my family sphere of upbringing and my life, travel, whatever I've done. Your life must be different to mine. I'm sure our histories may be interesting. So if I swapped with you, I might be coming from where you are, and you may be coming from where I am, which is even more proof to me that these are man-made interaction responses.
That's a fallacy in logic called the genetic fallacy, which is to say that you can dismiss someone's arguments for beliefs because of where those beliefs originate.
There's a very big possibility on there, let's percentage-wise, that if you're born into a very strict Christian, Jewish, Muslim family, you may well follow that faith. Am I right? Am I right with that? Would you give me that? Am I right on that one? Am I right that your upbringing, or what you've now learned, or what you decided?
So your beliefs.
Right, but my beliefs have come. My beliefs are very clear where they've come. I've studied all these religions. Okay, I've looked. Hang on, I'm not attacking you for believing. What I'm saying is, I've used my intuition as you're using yours. I accept that now. I'm using my human intuition to decide clearly to me and real to me that there is absolutely no God. Now, I don't have anything to prove because I can walk away here today as an atheist. I don't have to pray to anything tonight. It's not worrying me. When I leave, I forget about this conversation. It's only in context of speaking school. For a religious person, they will leave. They will carry on their sacraments. They'll carry on their prayers at sunset, whatever religion they're in.
Or they might go to hell if they're naughty.
Now, for me, because of that, I tend in these discussions to put the onus on the one who says they believe. I don't believe, because if there was God standing in front of me and it was quite clearly here or something, and there was something within my human intuitive, I might say, I can sort of see this now, then we'd get somewhere. In my entire life, in the history of the world that I'm seeing, there isn't one shred of evidence that praying or God does anything. Exists.
May I ask what's your academic background so that we can go in that direction?
My academic background is I had a Jewish, Judaic upbringing with a half Christianity in my family, and I had a Christian schooling. And I know everything from the body and blood of Christ, transubstantiation.
What have you studied at university?
I studied divinity at university.
Okay.
That's shocking, wouldn't it?
Which particular field?
Which particular field? I studied New Testament, I studied Christianity. Okay. I haven't studied much Islam, I'll be fair to you, but I know more about it now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then you should resonate with the arguments I'm presenting. So let's talk about, for example, our arguments for one designedness, which I've just been speaking about on the ladder. Have you heard of the concept of one design coincidences in the Gospels and the Scriptures generally?
Right. The issue I'm saying to you is, we can go today. I know we're going to get to this, and I respect you for this. We can go backwards and forwards on theory, and we can analyse all our blooming university degrees. It's not the issue I'm here. The issue for me is I'm trying to bring a realism to this question. Move along. If you really believe there is a God here today, do you?
I do.
In what format is that God here today? That's all I need to know now. We don't need to talk about what the books say. We understand the ideology of these books, because these books have rationales and reasoning, which to me, the one thing that is missing, the human control things are there, I get it. The heaven and hell, I understand why there's heaven and hell. I totally understand why we've got heaven and hell. I understand why these stories are there. What I don't see, because everything's third party, even the Old Testament starts with in the beginning God created, not in the beginning I did. So everything's third party. Now when third party writers, human beings are brilliant creators. They're brilliant films, brilliant at literature, brilliant at telling stories. For me, it's just more of the same. These are propagated stories, some from medieval times, some from way beyond that. That people have come down in superstition and propagated the
Some evidence for that.
Well, I've got the evidence of that, because these texts like the Shrine of the Book, you've got the Dead Sea Scrolls, you've got the Quran, the original versions, whatever, have come out of these medieval areas, come out of these Middle Eastern areas. I mean, the stories are, we go to the beginning of the Shrine of the Book. The Shrine of the Book in Israel is supposed to be the first, and the Shrine of the Book, I've seen the parchment which is supposed to be the first writings of the Bible. It's written by a scribe.
Yeah, of course it is. What else would it be written?
Well, that's not a surprise to me. It's written from a scribe because it's a human made-up written story. Because in my world I live in now, that's how we write things. That's how we communicate our writing.
Any book is written by a scribe.
So I have to make up something there to make the story fit. Why do I need to make a supreme being there? Because I made a control ideology in a book called a religion to keep people in control and also to keep loyalty to something. As a human psychologist, I will do that for you. I'll write you something and I'll make you myself such a bully, like a megalomaniac god or whatever you want to appear, to terrorise you to stay in that belief. So what's missing, it's amazing, isn't it? I'm standing here in Sunday 2017, right, with the sun up there, we're all in Hyde Park, right? God hasn't come to tell me off, has he, for having these beliefs? If God's my creator, then he must have created me as an atheist and he must think I'm right then. Not absurd, it's absolutely reasonable, because God is not controlling me, is he?
People suppress the truth and unrighteousness. That's
Suppress the truth. How can you? Where am I suppressing the truth?
overwhelming.
Have I not given you a very, very good rationale why I believe in
I was
it?
often baffled and bewildered as an undergraduate when I was an undergraduate studying.
Can we take university?
Yeah, this is so academic.
Can I right, I'm taking my university degree out, and I'll tell you why. Because we could outwit each other with our knowledge. I'm not doing that. I'm asking you a very straight barristerial question.
Where is
as
that?
a believer in God. Where is your God today?
That's it, that's all he wants to
now.
know.
Where is God in control of this earth? If God is in control of this earth and has been for the last 2,000-3,000 years, he's let a lot of things happen that this loving God would never have let happen in a million years. So to me, it's a made-up human story. These are ideologies, they're tribes.
Excuse me, you have to. It's not enough simply to dismiss the evidence without explaining, giving alternative explanation.
I'm done. I'm done.
Giving me God, are you?